Welcome to today's episode where we'll dive deep into the fascinating world of teacher-created resources. With the educational resources industry worth over $12 billion, there's a new wave of disruption happening, and it's being driven by teachers themselves. These educators are turning their classroom expertise into thriving businesses, creating materials that are not only highly specialized but also in high demand. What's truly remarkable is how this market has evolved over the last decade, growing at an unprecedented pace. And while many think of the education industry as slow to change, teachers have proven that they're capable of creating solutions that go beyond traditional methods. From figuring out your niche to understanding the nuances of digital marketing, we'll explore the trends, data, and strategies that are reshaping how educators connect, collaborate, and succeed. So whether you're just starting or have been in the game for a while, this episode will provide insight into how you can tap into this incredible opportunity. Teaching resources are a $12 billion industry. But here's what's fascinating. Individual teachers are now disrupting that market by creating and selling their own materials, turning their classroom expertise into thriving businesses.
Well, that really puts things in perspective, especially considering I started with just $7 in my first month. You know what's interesting about those numbers?
The way this market has evolved is remarkable. 10 years ago, teacher-created resources were barely a blip on the radar. Now they're generating millions in sales and transforming how educators access materials.
That reminds me of something crucial about getting started. Finding that sweet spot between what you love teaching and what other educators actually need. How did you discover your niche?
So here's what's fascinating. I initially focused on middle school ELA and test prep, thinking it was too narrow. But the data showed something surprising. Teachers were willing to pay 30% more for highly specialized resources than general materials.
That really challenges the conventional wisdom about casting a wide net, doesn't it?
Well, the numbers don't lie. Studies show that teachers spend an average of 7 hours per week searching for and creating their own resources. When they find something that exactly matches their needs, they're incredibly loyal customers.
Speaking of loyalty, what have you noticed about the relationship between resource creators and their teacher customers?
You know what's really interesting? The most successful teacher entrepreneurs maintain a 95% satisfaction rate by staying connected to the classroom. They're not just creating resources, they're solving real problems they've experienced firsthand.
That makes me think about the importance of authenticity in this space. Like, how do you balance creating polished resources while keeping them practical and classroom ready?
Well, recent surveys show that 82% of teachers prefer resources that are immediately usable over those that are perfectly designed. It's about functionality over flash. Something I learned the hard way after spending 2 weeks just choosing my store name.
Oh my goodness, 2 weeks? That must have been quite the journey.
Looking back, it's almost comical. But here's what the research shows. Store names account for less than 5% of purchasing decisions. The quality and usefulness of the resources drive 85% of sales.
The way you describe that really shifts the focus to what truly matters, doesn't it?
Exactly. And here's another surprising stat. Teachers who consistently create and upload new resources, even if they're simple, see a 40% higher growth rate than those who spend months perfecting a single product.
Well, that certainly puts things in perspective for anyone just starting out.
The most fascinating trend I've noticed is how this market is evolving. Teacher-created resources are growing at triple the rate of traditional educational publishers, with a projected market value of $18 billion by 2025.
Those numbers are incredible. Yeah, what do you think is driving that growth?
3 main factors. First, teachers trust other teachers. 92% prefer peer-created resources. Second, the pandemic accelerated digital resource adoption by 5 years. And third, the average teacher saves 11 hours of prep time per month using these resources.
That really explains why this has become such a powerful movement in education.
And here's what's particularly interesting about the marketing aspect. Social media has completely transformed how teachers find resources. Pinterest drives 60% of educational resource discovery, followed by Instagram at 25%.
The digital landscape has really changed everything about how we share and find teaching materials.
Well, the data shows something fascinating. Teachers who maintain an active social media presence see their sales grow 3.5 times faster than those who rely solely on marketplace visibility.
That's making me think about the long-term sustainability of this kind of work. What have you observed about successful teacher entrepreneurs?
The statistics are eye-opening. 68% of successful teacher entrepreneurs started as a side hustle, and it took an average of 18 months to replace their teaching salary. But those who stuck with it report 95% job satisfaction.
Those are some powerful numbers for anyone considering this path.
And here's what I find most encouraging. The barrier to entry keeps getting lower. The average initial investment is less than $100, but the potential return is significant. Some teacher entrepreneurs are now earning six figures annually.
Well, that certainly puts my $7 start in perspective.
Looking toward the future, the trends suggest this is just the beginning. With classroom technology integration increasing by 40% annually, the demand for teacher-created digital resources is expected to double in the next 3 years.
Those projections really highlight the opportunities ahead, don't they?
Indeed. And here's my final thought. This movement isn't just about individual success. It's about transforming education from the ground up, with teachers leading the way in creating the resources they know their students need.
That's such a powerful way to frame the bigger picture impact of this work.
Okay, so let me ask you this. How did you figure out your niche? I'm kind of torn between so many ideas.
I totally get that. I teach middle school ELA, so I started with reading comprehension and test prep. At first, I thought it was too narrow, but turns out, niche is actually your superpower.
Really? That goes against the typical advice. Cast a wide net and all that.
Right? But data tells a different story. Teachers are willing to pay 30% more for specialized resources that solve a very specific problem. Instead of buying 10 generic worksheets, they'll invest in one that's laser-focused on exactly what they need.
That changes the whole game. And it makes sense. Teachers spend 7 hours a week creating or searching for the right resource. If they find something that fits perfectly, they're coming back.
Exactly. Which brings us to another important piece: the relationship you build with your audience. I run simple Instagram polls every week, just asking, what do you need next? That input guides everything I create.
That's genius. Makes people feel seen and valued. Like they're not just buying from you, they're building with you.
That connection is powerful. The most successful teacher sellers I know, they're still in the classroom or deeply connected to it. They're not guessing what works. They know because they've lived it.
That explains why some resources look amazing but flop in real classrooms. Function over flash, right?
Exactly. A recent survey showed that 82% of teachers prefer ready-to-use resources over the perfectly designed ones. I learned that lesson the hard way. I spent 2 full weeks just choosing my store name.
Wait, 2 weeks? That's dedication or perfectionism. But I get it. I almost got stuck on branding too.
Turns out, store names account for less than 5% of purchase decisions. Meanwhile, usefulness and clarity account for over 85%. That really helped me shift focus.
Yeah, I've been sitting on one resource for a month now because I wanted it to be just right. Maybe I need to just hit publish.